Hello, everyone. This is Nerdy Dads. And who are the Nerdy Dads? It's basically David and myself, MJ. So we're both dads, and we're kind of like claiming that we're both nerds as well, right? So we're into tech, we're into different aspect of fandom, if you may, right? And that's also a good segue on what we're going to talk about today. So exploring those fandom and not just fandom, but also interests, kind of like maybe recent influences and things like that. And how can we actually mix that together with the recent, well, not recent, but what everyone's talking about, AI, LLMs, chatbots, co-pilots, and that kind of like sphere. All right. So now, why is this important? It's probably because, especially as dads and for younger demographics, it's still important to kind of like pursue certain interests, right? And again, we're promoting technology for good and for the betterment
Yeah.
of humanity. And in this particular video, we're gonna talk about how can we use Copilot Studio to for those specific interests, right? So take this away, Dave. Tell us what you built.
Yeah, just bit of context. So um read a book by Sal Khan from who actually founded Khan Academy, and it's all about kids education, and he is one of the first organization that got approached by OpenAI in the education space to actually go and explore how can this help future generation to learn. And one of the thing that was mentioned is role plays. And so, let's say you want to learn physics. Well, there's a persona of Isaac
Mhm.
Newton or Albert Einstein that you can actually
Mhm.
talk to. You actually make the whole learning experience a lot more interesting. Not to say that these systems are available 24/7, right? And it's instant response, infinite patience. So there's a lot of potentials. So obviously, so I think Carmigo is the name of the new product they are doing. It's not available in Australia. I think it's only available in the States and some countries potentially. So I got intrigued and I thought, well, I've got the Microsoft knowledge. I have access to Copilot Studio through work and Microsoft Teams. So I just thought I went into this experimental world and just trying things out. Quickly share my screen here. As you can see that, so here I'm talking to One Piece Luffy. Luffy is a character from the comic book series One Piece. It's a Japanese comic series, very popular. There's a game made based on this in Roblox. It's called Blox Fruit. My son is super into it, and his friends are as well. Screen time wise, it's not great, but he's really into this stuff. And I just thought, okay, maybe I'll create a character called from the main character called Luffy, and we'll try to encourage Martin to actually talk to Luffy. The key here, the thinking is I can use this as a hack to go, oh, maybe I can tailor the conversation towards creative writing. And that's the angle that I'm kind of going in. So here, as you can see, I can talk to, this thing is obviously Martin's typing. But there are some technical issues when he tried to use it on the phone, it doesn't allow him, etc. But he's asking a question: Who's your strongest opponent when you fall? It's like, oh, that's a great one. Should be
Yeah.
Martin. I've so many, probably Kaido.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
etc.
up
etc.
until recently, right? Again, I'm not watching One Piece all the time, but I kind of know that Kaido is the recent arc that was really challenging, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because technically Kaido is immortal; he cannot die.
So that's why it's challenging. So like you said, like he's actually got so Luffy actually got into the character. He's got knowledge regarding to different adventures as a pirate. So just take a step back. So okay, by the way, here's the book. Brave New Worlds by Salman Khan. That's where I got inspiration from. Really good book talking about how the future generation could actually learn with the system of AI technology. Very inspiring. So based on that, so this is Copilot Studio, it's a Microsoft solution, and so I'm just configuring this. It's super simple. I'm just giving it a bit of instruction. Description. You are Luffy from One Piece. That's it. Instruction. You talk to kids about your adventures in One Piece, challenges and stories. You need to adopt the talking style of the Luffy. So don't sound like some like a professor talking
Mhm.
about this. So very simple, but I can obviously change things to tailor towards creative writing. Like I said, try to encourage the kids to write more in the response, and formulate the chats and help with writing as well. So the again, the knowledge of Kaido is actually coming from this website, onepiece.fandom.com. I just need to hit add knowledge, and I can actually add it. Already does all the knowledge scraping things behind the scenes. I don't have to worry about any of that. And then I just need to integrate it into Microsoft Teams. It's just a few clicks as well. It's not like a huge task to like deploy, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that's it. And I thought, well, I've got one for Luffy. I need one for myself as well. And so I created a Greg Popovich one. So for anyone who doesn't know, so Greg Popovich is so Coach Pop. So he's the one of the best basketball coach in the NBA in the States. And
What did he go? What team did he coach?
he's been coaching San Antonio Spurs for many, many, many years. Um, And so he's quite amazing. And so Martin's really into basketball, and I'm facing a lot of different challenges. So sometimes I just want to have someone to talk to as well. So I created this character, and I asked the question, what do you do if a player is not self-motivated enough to meet training goals, right? And so Greg is coming back with a long answer in this case, talking about it's tough, but it's common to understand, what's going on in his mind. Maybe there's things that I need to be aware of, like, maybe he's got I don't know, on some distractions from school or
Mhm.
whatever that.
Yeah, or not enough sleep, right? Like it's
Yeah,
usually sleep problem. I mean, again, I'm not into sports, but knowing back in the days, right? Like during school days, sleep is always the number one factor when someone's not, into who's not in the zone, into gaming,
yeah,
right? Like in the game because he didn't sleep well last night. Like he's not,
yeah.
like upset stomach or anything, right?
Yeah, could be that, could be something else, but that understanding piece. So and then it's like, okay, maybe break into smaller goals so you actually get the feeling that he's achieving
Uh,
something. Another approach is training, like make it more engaging, make it bit more fun, stay positive, etc. Like, good advice. And
yeah.
I may or may not agree with all of them. After all, this is a bot, it's not a real the real coach. But I can come back to Copilot Studio and configure the settings here. One thing I notice is if I provide more information in here, so for example, what I'm saying is he joined a club, is struggling to switch from a point guard to a small forward. It's actually a very big change.
Mm.
And I ask it to be more conversational, because at the beginning it was actually giving me dot points, bullet points. I'm like, this looks like a PowerPoint. Look like I'm at work again. I don't want that feeling. So I can feed it more information. I can ask it to adopt different communication styles. I'll probably try to get it to communicate in like smaller chunks, ask more questions, things like
Yeah.
that, right? So
Yeah.
I can tailor it to
Yes.
suit me. I can provide information to it to give all the background information, so you can actually provide situational aware answers. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I've been kind of playing around. It's actually been quite interesting, on a personal level as well. I think it's kind of helpful for Martin. I can't wait to get him to actually use this Luffy character a little bit more in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and maybe in the future, right? Like, again, this is that part where I'm still puzzled. Like, why can't we just deploy this to Alexa, Google Home, and all those things, right? Like, uh,
Yeah,
there
make
used
it
to be that
conversational.
pattern,
Yeah,
right? Like, I think the hardware is there, like physically, right? Like, why can't we
yeah,
just implement this to that, right? Like that's what kind of like frustrates me at the moment, right? In like now we have to go back two steps back, which is like, hey, we need to open the app and like we need to talk to this, we do voice rag and things like that. Yeah, but maybe the future and maybe an immediate future would be this with the voice, right? So that
Yeah,
I don't want to have to open this all the time. It's way more fun listening from Greg Popovich with maybe his voice as well, right? Like
yeah,
telling these things.
yeah, 100%. Like I do use like OpenAI, the chat function. It's actually pretty good, and
It's
I
pretty
do
nice,
talk
yeah.
to it, yeah, on the phone, and it can actually provide answers. It can actually generate codes that I can later on refer to as well. So, yeah, technology is there, and it's a matter of how we use it. I'm just experimenting with how we can actually use it, help the kids.
Actually, speaking of which, I recently, I'm a regular judge in Imagine Cup, right? Like, and Imagine Cup, for those who don't know, is a yearly competition of Microsoft for students, particularly college students, right? To kind of like look for innovations or TCs within the Microsoft technology. I won't mention the actual product and the actual name and stuff like that, but there's this one particular use case there that really fascinated me, right? Like that team uses voice rag, right? Like actually, hey, actual person, doing interactions and stuff like that. But the trick here there is that you have an app who can kind of like schedule to call you, right, from a number, right? So they've integrated with, I think, Twilio or something like that, wherein like, hey, you can create a bot who's gonna act as your alarm clock, right? And then that bot's gonna call you, and it's not just about like, hey, wake up or something, but like, hey, here's what's coming, and like, hey, do you want to talk about this, or are you not yet in the mood, and so on and so forth, right? And I think I like that, right? Like, there's still that human element of this technology. Yeah, and I think going with this direction again as Nerdy does, and I think that's where it's become much more tangible for us, and that's where we will appreciate more of that
Hmm.
technology.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. So, Brave New World.
Brave New World, man. Yeah, and sorry, one last thing is there's that new book from Bill Gates about his life story. I think it's called Source Code or something, where he talks about
Oh,
his story, like his childhood, his like relationship with his mom and things like that. But one thing that's kind of like standing out for me with that book is that he's a bit optimistic about the future, right? Like he's kind of like optimistic where technology is heading, where advancement of human civilization is going. So yeah, I think again, I want to go to that direction as well, right? I'm a more optimistic person when thinking about technology. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think it's important. I think it's more of a choice that you can choose to stay optimistic. There's like not blindly optimistic, like
Hmm.
more of like a practical optimism. And I think that's good, that's healthy, and it's constructive as well. Especially when there's big changes coming, rather than being depressed. There are always
Yeah.
things to do. And yeah, I'm definitely trying to do what I can for my kids, and also, we are trying to share this experience with the broader community, other parents out there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So if you have, like if you want to bounce some perspective about technology and like how it's gonna affect the future, your kids and stuff like that, feel free to put that in the comment section. We'll try to answer that as well. But yeah, but we're not the nerdy dads who's gonna fix your Wi-Fi and printer, right? We're the nerdy dads who's kind of like, gonna look after technology in much more broader sense, right?
yeah. Oh, great.
Awesome. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Please like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.